If you're a deer hunter, you probably enjoy eating the game that you take. What I've got here is a backstrap that was taken off of a doe that we took on Kentucky Afield. This is a recipe that I'm going to show you today that is probably my family's favorite way to eat it. Now you're probably saying, well, it's backstrap. Of course it's going to be good. There are several ways to mess up fixing a backstrap. First off, when you harvest your animal, you get the entrails out, removing all of the waste, and wash it out really good. The next thing is you want to try to get it cooled down. Now, if you're lucky enough that the weather allows, hanging it for a few days is also a really good idea. Just hang it with the head down so that all the blood runs toward the face and away from where you eat the primary spot where most of your meat is located, which is in the back hams and on the back straps. So this back strap is off of a deer that has hung for a few days. You can tell it's not really bloody. The next thing you want to do, like I say, is get this silver seam and clean all this up. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is with a fillet knife. Now, I always like to come in away from the end. That way, I don't have to hold it. If you try to start at the very end and get started, it's kind of tough. This will hold this for me. So I get there, and all I'm doing is angling the knife blade up, and I start to pull. And you can take this off in big sheets. You can see I'm wasting very little of the meat. A couple reasons I really enjoy eating venison. First off, I like to eat what I harvest. You don't want to just harvest something and not actually eat it. So it'll deer for me and my family. They really enjoy it. We want to continue taking all the silver off the top. The backside here looks pretty good. Let's go to the bottom. I'm going to do a little cleanup on this too. You get some of this kind of stringy stuff here on the ends. You know, that is a little bit of meat right there, but it's got lines of really tough stringy stuff in it. I just always remove it. Now once you've got it to this point right here, half the battle is already over. You can tell I've cut this backstrap in half, just doing this so that I can demonstrate it here on this cutting board. What I like to do once I get it to this point right here is I like to butterfly. So I'll roll this over. What I will do is I'll come in about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch over off the side, and I'm going to cut almost through. I'm going to move over 3/4 of an inch, and that is a butterflied steak. You can tell, look how tender and how that meat looks. Now we're going to do that a couple more times here. Pretty quick, you can go right down it. Each one of these just look fantastic. Now once you get the amount of steaks that you're going to want, obviously you'd want to cut the rest of it up, freeze it if you're not going to use it. But for this situation, these 4 steaks here will be really all we need. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. The next thing I do is I'm going to put them in this Ziploc baggie. And then I sometimes make a marinade, but I'll tell you, it's really hard to beat Dale's seasoning. Now myself, I prefer the low sodium blend. At this point in time, it's really simple. I just shake this up real good so it's kind of thick and it will settle. After it's been shook up, I will put somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup in here. And I'll zip this up and push the air out. Now, if these had come from the freezer, like I want to do with this piece, I would then put these in and then I'll knead them. And I'll do that to kind of break down all that ice that's in there. I'll set them out on the counter for a few hours, and then I'll put these in there and I will knead these around until all the meat I can tell is thawed out. Now I do that because I want it to cook fairly evenly. Essentially, get it to this point, 30 minutes to an hour is all this really needs. If you leave it in there longer than that, it really is going to take away from the flavor of the meat. The last important thing is the grill. We're going to go out there and get the grill started. We're going to get it at 375 to 400 degrees, and we're going to make sure that grill is up to temperature and not going it higher or lower, and it'll maintain that temperature. So we want close to 400 degrees, maintain that temperature. So let's go get the grill going. We got about 30 minutes to get hot, and these are going on. where our grill is up to temperature. It's setting at 400 degrees, and it's been now over 30 minutes, so our marinade is set in. The only thing we need to do is I do put a little bit of Cavendiers on it once it hits the grill. Other than that, 5 minutes per side, and we're ready to eat. All right, our grill looks perfect. We're setting at about 400 degrees. It can be a little hotter, and that's okay as well, or just a little bit less, but you really don't want to get it much less. The object here is to cook it fast and not leave it on there very long. We're going to go about 5 minutes aside. They should be perfect. Now, I like to lay these with the butterfly open part down. And the reason I do that is when I flip it, after I sear this side, it will hold that moisture as it comes out. And you'll see when I flip it, you'll go, wow, look how juicy those things are. All right, I got my steaks down. We're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of this Cavendiers on. Really don't need much. Got a little bit of garlic flavor to it, a little bit of pepper. All right, we'll check on them in 5 minutes. All right, now all we need to do is flip them over. And you can tell they got beautiful grill marks on them. These are gonna be extremely, extremely tender. I'll tell you what, if you don't like these, then you don't like beef, because it really does kind of taste like beef, and the tenderness will be kind of like fillets. Now I like to flip them over this way, because what you'll see is all the moisture will puddle and pool in there. And when I go to pick them up, after 5 more minutes, I'll pick them up this way and take them, and it'll keep that moisture in there. Keeps them really, really, really tender. Another shot of this. All right, 5 more minutes. All right, these are about ready. The number one thing is, do not overcook your venison. That holds true for all wild game, but do not overcook it. You're better off to make a cut and to test it than to keep cooking it to make sure it's cooked. We're gonna go plate these with some of our favorite vegetables, and we're ready. All right, now we've got our back straps here. Obviously we've got some vegetables. I want to show you how tender this is. A lot of people will tell you, oh man, venison, it's kind of dry, it's a little bit chewy. This is a regular fork. Just a little bit of pressure, cuts right through. Now you can see, it's still a little bit pink in there. If you're a person who likes well done steaks, it's not gonna suit you real well, because it does, when you overcook it, it gets a little bit dry. There's not the fat in this meat that you'd find in beef, and that's the reason. So it literally is cut with a fork tender. And man, is it delicious. Give it a try, I'm sure your family will love it.